Hello, agents. Welcome to the Ingress Insights podcast, hosted by PkmnTrainerJ. Ingress Insights aims to give you the latest news and updates about the Niantic Spatial game Ingress. Whether you're a veteran agent who has recursed 17 times or a brand new agent working to level 8, wondering what a fracker is, this is your place for the latest Ingress news and discussions. 2026 sees Ingress renewed under Niantic Spatial and many new campaigns to engage agents. So, plenty to discuss. Share any thoughts by checking our social media links. Now, over to Ada.
Additional intel available.
Hello, agents. Welcome to this episode of the Ingress Insights podcast. As mentioned in a previous episode, I'm not around this week. I'm taking a bit of a break, but I did want to still good of an episode, talk about something that's related to Ingress. So this time around, I want to talk about missions in Ingress, because I'm not really focused on that, and they do form a large part of Second Sunday, which I do talk about whenever that comes up. First of all, I'm just going to read the description that Ingress gives themselves for missions. So they note, explore portals by completing agent-created tasks. Missions are short duration objectives created by Ingress agents. Upon completion, agents are rewarded with a custom medal that is displayed on their agent profile. Successfully completing a certain number of missions unlocks the Spec Ops medal. All agents at level 7 or above can create missions by using the mission authoring tool. Within this tool, agents can choose to make missions by using portals or field trip cards as waypoints. I'll probably have a field trip in another episode. That's a bit more time sink of getting into. Upon submission, missions are reviewed by NIA Ops before publishing them live. Remember, this is a privilege for trusted agents who abide by the mission's criteria, and excessive rejections or spammy submissions may result in your mission authoring permissions being suspended. So you can get told off if you're submitting bad missions. The team do share the mission authoring FAQs, so they say you should allow 10 to 15 business days for mission to be reviewed. There is a way of fast tracking for first Saturday and second Sunday. Still recommend submitting with enough time for it to be reviewed. But if you include the following hashtags in the title, like Ingress FS or Ingress 2S or second Sunday, then they can try and make sure they're getting on there and going for the mission day, going for second Sunday. They do say agents should be able to read a mission's title, know its theme and general location, and whether it's part of a series or banner, and be able to read a mission's description, know why the aerial portals are interesting or how the portal relates to the theme of the mission. So a banner is basically a set of 6 missions on there that display in a line across your profile. They look pretty if they're done the way. They might spell out the name of a city. They might form a picture, and you can get bigger ones that for various bits in your scanner, and they'll show, I don't know, a massive picture of the Eiffel Tower or something when they're all put together if you do them in the right kind of way. So it's a nice way of decorating your profile on there. They do ask you to get unique waypoints for your missions. Ensure the description includes context on why the waypoints were chosen. Ensure the mission image is related to the theme of the mission, and not use single letters or characters in the mission image. You might see some old ones that are that way, but they recommend not doing that anymore. They're saying that someone unfamiliar with the area should be able to read a mission's title, know its theme and general location. That's bits I've already been through before. Sorry for reading that. They're saying additional tips for the first mission of a banner or series. Consider providing insights into the very first mission to allow agents to determine whether they'll be able to complete all missions in the set before starting getting stuck. Consider mentioning if the set is particularly challenging or strenuous. Consider informing agents whether they need to drive or bike between locations due to distance. And consider noting missions may be difficult or impossible to complete for someone who has a mobility impairment. They do ask to make sure you include all your own images in there. Don't use images that have been stolen. Make sure they are free to use or images you've made yourself. You can't use official Ingress logos except First Saturday and Second Sunday logos and the logos for Enlightened Resistance. They also ask you not to use Ingress medal images as mission images, and the usual kind of things that we do in like Wayfair, Recon. Don't use personally identifiable information. Don't use identifiable people or faces. Don't use agent code names. Don't use inappropriate language or spammy content as well. So once you've done that, if you are submitting through the mission authoring tool, which you can find just at missions.ingress.com, sign in with the normal stuff you use for your Ingress account, and it will all be linked on there. You'll be able to see your missions and create new ones on there. You do have access to kind of the whole map as you're making your missions. And if you've only started playing Ingress since the Ingress Prime version, you may notice this looks a bit more outdated. The missions thing's not been updated for quite some time, unfortunately, so it does still use the kind of older Ingress style for it. But all you need to do is create a new mission and choose at least 6 portals or field trip waypoints that's going to be on there. Choose whether it needs to be sequential, so doing it one after the other, or doing it in any order. I prefer when it is any order. And then it'll ask you to do the min name, add a description, upload an image to serve as the logo in the middle, and then you'll be able to submit everything on there, choose your portals, and submit it for review. Like generally 10 to 15 working days to get a decision on that, and the team will let you know what was wrong with it if there was anything wrong, or when it's live and when it's all approved there for you. As mentioned, you can get a few medals this way. So there is Mission Day, which is an official Ingress thing at events, where you can go around, do a mission around the city and explore and get that ticked off. And there's also the Spec Ops badge, which I don't have very high at the moment. I think my one is at silver for doing 50 missions. I've just not unfortunately found the time to do them whilst I've been working and stuff like that. But it is worth doing. It gives you a nice exploration around the city. I was mentioning to someone at my workplace the other day that their person they were speaking to was obsessed with trams and thought we should have one in the city. I was able to tell them we did used to have one in our city because I'd followed Ingress missions that talked about the tram that used to be there. Without that, I wouldn't have known. So it's a little thing that I know about my city now that I didn't before. It's also nice to do them and you get to give a thumbs up or thumbs down on the mission and then kind of recommend them to other people as you're going through and getting them. And if your profile's open, people are able to see what missions you've done. You can make yourself a nice little banner on there, as I mentioned, by completing the sequential missions, make sure they're all kind of linked up. People do it often for things like Second Sunday or exploring a new town. So you can submit them on there. I think at the moment you can submit 180 missions per agent. It was up during COVID. So you can make sure you're submitting all the missions on there. Sometimes missions get taken down because people need more space for them. If that happens, they still remain on your profile to say you've completed them. So they don't go away forever. But it's just no one else will be able to do them after that time. It's also worth bringing up a fan website called Bannergrass. So on that one, you can look at various banners that agents have created and see if there's ones that you can do in your area that will look pretty on your profile to go out and do. So there's ones that people do to promote the upcoming anomalies, ones people do focused on toast, things like that, and ones people do, I don't know, a whole variety of things. There's an image I can see at the moment called Walk Tree of Life that shows a giant tree and a wolf at its base and looks a very nice, pretty bit of art. But that is 54 missions to do on there, so that's a bit of a time sink on there walking around in the Netherlands. So obviously it's up to you whether you want to have it nice on your profile or whether you don't care and you're just going for getting the Spec Ops badge by doing the missions. As I said, I just thought I'd talk about missions a little bit on there and just explore, see what people want to do. If you've got a particular favourite mission you want to share in the comments, do please do that as well. Be interesting to see what we get on there. I need to do a few missions for Halloween and get those ready for my local area at some point. So I'll probably try and plan those out in the next couple of weeks. That's all from me for this week, agents. I've already got next week's episode recorded, ready, scheduled. So that'll come out on the 12th of April. And then you'll be able to hear what that is for episode 150. So hope you have a great Sunday. Happy hacking. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you, agents, for listening to the latest episode of the Ingress Insights podcast. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do that in a couple of ways. So the easiest way to support the podcast is via Patreon. So you can find at patreon.com/Ingress Insights. And there's a free tier, a $1 a month tier, whatever that is in your local currency, and a $5 a month tier. You can check out what benefits those come with on the Patreon. One other thing you can do that's totally free that helps out a lot is rating the podcast on your podcast service of choice. So where you can leave a rating or leave comments, that always helps increase visibility. And then finally, you can follow us on various social media channels. We use most of them, but the best one to follow us on now is Blue Sky. So that's just ingressinsights.bsky.social. Search for Ingress Insights on Blue Sky, you'll find us on there. Finally, sharing the podcast with friends, family, other agents who want to listen and get updates really helps out and helps get interviews with various Ingress people or other game-related people to then increase visibility more. So anything you can do from those is great. Thanks again for listening, agents. Have a great day.
Intel package transferred.